Neil, where are you at right now? Let us know where you at. You coming from the West Coast. Where exactly are you currently?
Yeah, so I am in Vista, California. It is a suburb of San Diego. It's about maybe 30 minutes north.
Of San Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's like brilliant weather territory right there. Like never a gloomy day seemed like out there.
Oh man, it's so hot right now. It's ridiculous. I don't like it. I like it. I guess typically like during the summer or the fall and winter months, it's not as hot during the summers. But outside it's impressive.
Got you. Is that where you are originally from?
Suburb of what?
Oh,
that's where you're from?
Oh, Toronto.
No, so I've been in Southern California for I guess 13 years now. But originally I'm from Canada.
Oh, you're originally from Canada. So what part of Canada are you from?
Yeah, so I grew up in a city called Brampton. It's a suburb of Toronto.
Suburb of what?
Toronto.
Oh, Toronto. So the six. Yep. You know, I heard something about this. Toronto was like, it used to be 6 cities. Is that what they call it, the 6? Like originally back in the day, it was like 6 different cities, and then they like melded into one big old metropolitan.
Oh, that could very well be the reason. I always thought it was because of the area code 416.
Oh, well, hey, never mind. I don't know. I just read up on that, man.
You're actually right, though. It did used to be 6 separate cities, and they merged it to the mega city. So now, it's all one Toronto.
It's now the 6. Got you, man. Give us some love from coming from the 6. So how did you get into STEM? Like, what were your early memories out there in Canada, man? Like, were you in a family that was highly scientific, or what was your family like growing up?
No. So, well, I think my father has a degree in biology, but he never worked in biology. He worked in kind of and then my mother did commerce, so she actually worked as an accountant. But no, not really. How I got into engineering was actually a pretty uninteresting story. You know, oftentimes, I used to lie about it, but I thought it was so uninteresting. Because oftentimes you'll hear people. Oftentimes you'll hear people talk about, their kids. They like to take things apart and put them back together, all that kind of stuff. They were a robotics team when they were school. I didn't do any of that stuff. I studied engineering because my father told me.
Really? Yeah. So your dad just basically came in your room one day. I'm imagining, right? He just came with you and said, "Hey, Neil, you know what you need to do? You need to study engineering."
That's about it. Yeah, you got it about right.
Yeah. No doubt. That's funny, man, because I think I told you I was on your show letting the audience know this is Neil Thompson, y'all, from Teach the Geek. He has his own platform. You reached out to me on LinkedIn a while ago when I was on your show talking about public speaking and engineering. And I think that was one of the things you realized, that both of us got into engineering as a result of the recommendation from my father. So that's what's up, man. Shout out to great fathers out there leading and at least giving some advice.
There was no
no recommendation. It was
there was no recommend. There might have been a recommendation to you. There was
So it was an ultimatum in your case?
No opinion, no suggestion, none of that. It was
engineering. Man. Did he specify which type of engineering he wanted you to do, or you just kind of picked? You had that, at least had that choice to make.
Yeah, I mean, ultimatum, because right, it's this or that. It was.
In the comments, good to see you, Jabroni Engineer. Thanks for coming through. Tamara Simmons, I'm so glad you're here. Definitely, we do this every Sunday, STEM Media Live. I want my man Neil Thompson. He just told us that he basically had the ultimate. He had the demand from his pops to go into engineering. He went into engineering, and where did you go to school at, Neil? Where did you go and get your degree from? Oh man, we're breaking up. We're losing them. We're losing a little bit. All right. We got anybody in the comments, right? Anybody in comments from California? Anybody in the comments from California? Let me see. That's the Caribbean African experience. Kavon, definitely. I hear you. All right, we lost you for a second. You froze up, man. I was asking you. Hope your Wi-Fi is good. You got good Wi-Fi out there, man? I know you're in a great weather part of town. Is your Wi-Fi straight?
Yeah.
You're freezing up on us.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay, you froze up a couple of times. All right.
Okay.
So tell us, what school did you go to, Neil?
So from my undergrad, I went to the University of Toronto because that's where I lived at. I lived at home for the entire 4 years.
Okay.
So I feel like I kind of missed out on college experience. I never lived in the dorms, anything like that. I missed out on a whole lot of things. I used to have to, catch the bus to get back home to make sure, I would be able to get back home. So there was that.
Yeah.
And then I did a master's for that, which was pretty interesting. Going from
wait, you went for grad school?
Yeah, I did a master's.
So you did a master's. Okay, and where was your master's in? Oh man, my man Neil is freezing up a little bit. He said he went to University of Toronto, which I hear is a really good school. And then he came all the way down to the south and went to Clemson University for a master's degree. So that was definitely a culture shock. Hopefully he can get back on and tell us what he did his master's degree in. But again, shout out to anybody who engineers in the comments. What we want y'all to do, right, is get your questions ready. As a matter of fact, if you think of them as we're waiting on Neil to pop back in, go ahead and put your questions in there. Whether it's about engineering, if you're a person interested in engineering, or if you're a person who's into public speaking, interested in public speaking, we're going to get into that in just a little bit. I happen to have experience in public speaking as well. So that's our topic today. And hopefully, Neil, can you hear me, bro? Can you hear me, Neil? All right, man. I think your internet's messing up. But yeah, back to the audience, guys. Let me know what you're interested in or what your question may be or comment as it relates to public speaking, particularly as a person who is as they call, quote unquote, left brain or into technical things. I'm really interested in your thoughts and comments. But Neil, I hope you can hear me, man, because we definitely want to bring you on. He's an expert in this area. He has a course in it. Neil, if you can hear me, give me a thumbs up, y'all. Give me a thumbs up. Not y'all, but Neil, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Can you hear me, brother? All right. Brittany said I'll be right back. Let me see if I can. But I don't see him. All right, guys. Again, we're going to be talking about public speaking in just a little bit, trying to get the backstory of Neil. We have a little bit of Wi-Fi issues, and we've had that often for people on the West Coast. Much as I love the West Coast, shout out to everybody on the West Coast. I know my boy is a brilliant engineer. I think you're out there as well, brother. Shout out to you. But here we go. We're going to bring Neil back on so we can see if we can get the Wi-Fi, East Coast, West Coast Wi-Fi connection a little better this go around. All right. Give him some hearts if y'all see him again. Give him some love. Give him some hearts as he comes back in. Waiting on you, brother Neil. Hope y'all got your questions coming. Neil, are you good? Oh man, Neil, we losing you, brother.
I hope so.
Yeah, we losing you, man. We losing you. All right, yeah, you're back on, brother. Yeah, we don't want to lose you, man, because we know you got some good gems, some good information to give to people.
Okay.
But let me ask you again, man. You said you went to grad school. You went undergrad at UT. I guess that's what y'all call it, University of Toronto. And then you came down to Clemson for grad school. What was that you were studying in grad school?
I was doing that culture crazy, going from Toronto to South Carolina. That was something I wasn't expecting.
Yeah. I can imagine, man. I can imagine. So you got that degree, and so what did you do right after you finished your master's? Did you go and get a PhD? Did you go all the way? You know what I mean? Or did you go ahead and get a job?
Well, I started a PhD, but I did not finish it.
Okay.
I left after a year. So
what was that story?
Well, the story was I did undergrad because I was told to. I did the master's because I was told to. But then you get to age 24. I don't want to be told what to do anymore. But I did the 1 year, but then at some point you gotta start living life for yourself and not for the wants and desires of others. I never really wanted to do a PhD, so I quit after that first year, and then I spent the next 7 months trying to find a job, and I eventually got one at a small Boston area.
Ah, okay. So you went to the Northeast. Man, I think you just gave the people their first gem. I hope y'all caught that, man. At some point, you got to ask yourself, what do you want? And I do this thing, Neil. I have this this message and was developing into a course called Engineering Your Purpose. And one of the questions that you really want to ask yourself is, what do I want? Like, what do I really want at the end of the day? Because there is a point where in life you can kind of look up and be like, am I living my life or am I living somebody else's life? Like, literally, am I going down this path? And, regards definitely to our parents. They also what the best was. Shout out to the West Indian parents, as Miss Dole Talisi says, and shout out to obviously all parents who really want the best. But in your case, you decided that you didn't want to do this PhD, and I commend you for that, man, because I think that thing is so, like, if you're doing it just to do it, it's not really going to be enjoyable at all. But the fact that you made a decision to go ahead and make your exit out of academia, I'm sure was the right decision. But what was your first job, though? Let's talk about your first job. What was that like in Boston?
So I was working for this company called Histogenics. They were developing a cartilage implant, and I worked in the materials group as a research associate. Yes, I did that a little under 2 years.
Mm-hmm. So as a research associate, were you in the lab or were you like customer facing? What exactly?
Oh, definitely in the lab. No customer facing duties at all. So anything to do with public speaking not come from.
I hear that, bro. And so what you left there, and went, how did you get to the West Coast?
Essentially, I applied for a job at a company, Tech Spine. They were based in Carlsbad, which is a suburb of San Diego.
Carlsbad, yeah.
Job, and so I moved from Boston to Carlsbad, and I've been out in California ever since 2007.
Got you. Got it. Again, man, shout out to the love. Everybody, if you're just joining us, I see you, Shireen. I see VK. Thanks for coming through. This is Neil Thompson. He's an engineer. He told us about, he's originally from Canada, got his master's at Clemson, did a lot of research work, now out in California doing what exactly? Give us a synopsis of your job now in California, as far as your actual task.
Okay, so when I got to California, I was working in medical devices, as you said in the intro. I was a product development engineer for a number of years. Okay. And I eventually left that and became a patent agent. The reason I became a patent really my choice either. My boss at the company I was working at, he had wanted all the engineers to become patent agent, so he wouldn't have to pay. I thought that was a mandatory thing. But apparently the other engineers didn't take it that way. So I'm the only one that actually ended up becoming. So I was the one that took the test and actually, went through.
So you actually got, like, I guess, a license? Was this like a licensing that you got, or what was it exactly?
Yeah. So essentially, to become a patent agent, you take a test, and once you pass that test, you're a patent agent. You're given a number, and you can draft and file patent applications for people.
There you go, man. Hey, y'all just found out a bonus about our man, Neil Thompson. So if you ever need somebody to help you figure out how to patent that great invention you got, or that great idea that's going to change the world, maybe you're like my man, the guy who invented the Super Soaker, Lonnie Johnson or something. You need a patent agent to make sure you protect your IP. I'm sure Neil could point us in the right direction, right, Neil?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And if anyone were to take me up on that, that would be different than the boss I had at the time, because he ended up still outsourcing all the patent work to outside.
Oh man. Well, hey, hopefully, that is an asset to your career that you won't ever lose, regardless of what you do in the future, man.
So now I do work for an IP firm here in San Diego. I do, patent agent work, drafting applications, and communicating with the patent office. So all that work that I did back in, when I became a patent agent didn't go to waste. Gotcha.
Dope, man. Well, that's dope. Y'all give him some hearts, give him some love. Neil Thompson here. Share with us his journey. Let us know how he got out to the West Coast. And I'm just happy to have you here. Now, we want to get into, again, what our main topic was, Neil. And if you're watching this, I need you all to do me a favor. If you're watching this, do me a favor. Let me know how, on a scale to 1 to 10, how confident are you when it comes to public speaking? right? Let us know. Put it in the comments. If you are a 10, 10 being, I am perfect. I mean, I'm on Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins level. That's a 10. Put 1 if you feel as though you were just, you get up in front of people and you just like melt, right? Give us an idea where you are. If you're watching this, put in the comments, how are you? What is your self-assessment as it relates to public speaking? And we're going to hopefully try to provide some value as it relates to that topic. Both myself and my guest here, Neil. Whether you're a technical person, engineer, scientist, whatever, this is an important topic for you. So go ahead and let me know. I'm looking in the comments. Let me know on a scale of 1 to 10 where you are in public speaking. And while they're doing that, Neil, please do me a favor. Explain why is it important, or at least how did you come to realize the importance of public speaking? Shireen, I see you 8. Ms. Dulcie, 7. All right, cool. Go ahead. Let us know why is it important, Neil?
Well, for that first job that I had when I came out to California, I was a project lead. So in addition, essentially what that meant is, in addition to my project development engineer duties, I had to take a role of a project manager for a team, essentially because it was too cheap to hire project managers. So they dumped that responsibility on the engineers.
Yeah.
As a part of that job, I presentations in front of management and those first few presentations were absolutely horrendous. I didn't practice what I was at all. I just slapped a bunch of stuff onto slides and read the slides and tried to get off, get off the stage as possible. And you would have thought that, over I would have tried to get better at it because I didn't want foolish in front of the management, because that's who's in the audience. CEO, COO, R&D, all those types. And I got my project canceled, and that was really the catalyst for me becoming better at public speaking. Because even now, I think that if I had done a job of just conveying information to people, I could have saved the project. We'll never lose. But that really was what kind of prompted me to get better at public speaking. And the first thing that I did to do that was join Toastmasters.
Got you. So let me make sure I understand, and shout out to everybody. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for your responses. We're going to get to those. But did you just say that basically you had to present a project and you did a horrible job presenting by your own words, and then that project got canceled in your mind as a result of how you presented it? Wow. Guys, there could be some bags we losing out here because of our public speaking ability. And that's really big, man. So before we get into, again, Toastmasters, things you learn, I want to do it in knowledge. You see, It'd Be Okay says 8. We got some pretty good public speakers out here. Jen says 1. All right, Jen. Shireen says 8. We got 7. So we got some pretty good public speakers, apparently. But you know what I learned? This one thing, Neil, and I don't know if I shared this with you. And again, for people who are here, let us know where you are in public speaking. As a matter of fact, I'm going to throw this question out before I tell you what I'm about to say. What is your biggest challenge for public speaking? For somebody watching this, what is your biggest challenge? Whether you're at a 1 or 7 or 8, whatever it is, what is your biggest challenge? Neil, this is what I heard Warren Buffett say. And this clip is still online. People can still look it up if you want to. Warren Buffett said if he was going to invest in a person, right? Warren Buffett is like one of the most prolific investors of all time. He's been investing since the age of 14. He's made billions and billions of dollars from picking the right companies that he knows are going to increase in value. But he was asked if he was going to invest in a person, what skill would he look for in that particular person to let him know that investment is going to be a good investment? In other words, he's going to put money into them and he will get a percentage of their earnings, how much they earn throughout the rest of their career. Warren Buffett was asked that, and he said the skill he would look for is a person who is really good at communication, a person who is extremely talented, extremely gifted, a person who is really good at communication, regardless of their technical skills, regardless of their grades. Warren Buffett, one of the most prolific investors, said he would invest in a person who's really good at communication or public speaking. And I just think that's really profound. You know what I mean? Have you heard that at all, Neil? Has that come across your radar?
No, I didn't know that, but I'm not too surprised. I mean, I'm sure he didn't build his empires and by being, not too what's the word I'm looking for? By not being smart at what he does or says. So yeah,
sure.
I'm sure that makes sense.
All right, so cool. As people are putting in their biggest challenge for public speaking, thank you all for responding already. What are some of the first things you learned right off the gate when you began to go into Toastmasters and start turning your attention to this field? What are some of the immediate things that instantly came in and were game changers for you when it came to public speaking? Give us some of those.
Sure. So Toastmasters, for those of you that don't know, it's an international organization. The real goal is to help people improve their public speaking. And I was a member of several clubs. Depending on where I was living at the time, I'd be a member of a local club. And it was a great forum to practice any kind of public speaking I had to do. And what the biggest, I guess, thing that I took away from just getting better at public speaking is keeping the audience in mind when you're putting your presentations together. When I first did my presentations in front of management, when I worked at that company, I was concerned with what they wanted or needed to get from presentations. I was just slapping slides together, getting up there, reading them, and I said, trying to get off the stage as quickly as possible. And I saw that as a losing, I guess, strategy, because oftentimes I get questions presentation that I thought I had answered during the presentation, but because I didn't put the information in a way that people could actually understand, getting these questions.
The same question.
That's definitely something that I got. Yeah.
It's crazy. Talking about public speaking, right? It's crazy when a person asks you a question that you literally thought you covered in your presentation. Now, sometimes it's because that person may not have been paying attention, or maybe they came in late or whatever, but if you spend time on a particular topic or specific information that still didn't get across to the audience, that they asked a question about it, and then that may be because, as you just said, Neil, the way that you presented it. What's going on, Ms. Nia Chanel? We losing up. I'm gonna call out some of the things we said. We see it'd be okay. Said knowing the subject matter, absolutely important. Afraid to lose train of thought and fumble. Yes, I get that. Kavan said, I need to jump back in Toastmasters. And I saw you earlier, your comment, Kavan said, you rate yourself 7 in impossible, like a hand of spades. I feel you. We're talking about public speaking, y'all. And he said he learned to prepare his presentations with the audience in mind. So that is really big, Neil. Neil, can you hear me? I try to talk through your glitches, man. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Neil? Oh, man, I can't hear you. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. All right, so here's the other thing that I would say when it comes to presentations, right? Neil hit the nail on the head when he said, prepare a presentation with your audience in mind, right? The other thing I would say, as he was mentioning on slides, and we're going to bring him back in a second, is don't put too much text on your slides. Man, in this day and age, we got people who will go up and literally put a whole bunch of text on the screen and just read everything off the screen. When you're doing that, you really are unnecessary. You render yourself unnecessary as a public speaker. You can just give them handouts and actually never get up front. But when you put so many text on the slide, you never want to get that to the point to where people are just literally reading along with you. And so text on the slide should just be things that remind you of your next point, things that frame whatever your next transition is. And so that's one thing I want to give you all is definitely key. Yep, knowing your audience. The Nanotech Girl, welcome to STEM Media Live. I'm going to bring our guest back in. Hopefully we can keep him on this time with his with the Wi-Fi. Hopefully we can keep him on. Come back through, Neil. We are talking about public speaking, the things you can learn, the things to keep in mind as it relates to public speaking that are really necessary. Neil, I hope we can keep you on, man. They don't want people to get this information. We got to keep you on, bro. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, man. This has been a little rough. But we're gonna make sure we can give them some more value. All right. I was just talking about the importance of not putting too much text on your slide. Because do you ever find that sometimes people get up and all they're doing is just simply reading the text on the slide, and then it just becomes like, hey, I'm just reading a handout. You're just reading out loud a handout. You know, you ever seen that happen when it comes to presentation?
Have I seen it? I've done it. That's what I was doing when I first was giving presentations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know quite, firsthand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people wouldn't see my gay presentation.
Yeah.
Staring either at the screen or staring at the projection screen.
Yeah, that's critical,
Absolutely.
bro.
And that's definitely something to avoid when giving presentations, because if you just have a bunch of stuff on your slides, people are just going to end up reading your slides as opposed to listening to it. And at that, public read, not public.
Public reading. I love that. I love that. I'm probably going to say that. So Kavan actually just reiterated your point. She said also knowing what you want your audience to get out of it. So you started off saying, preparing with your audience in mind. But then I love the idea of saying, okay, when this is all said and done, what do I want people to walk away from this with? And we've all heard like certain speakers, whether it be preachers, right? Who sometimes they just go on and on and on. And like you can tell that they're just kind of freestyling. Like they think of one thing and that brings up another thing and then another thing. And the next thing you know, you're like sitting there in the audience like, yo, what was the point? Like, what was I leaving this with? What did he talk about? Oh, man, I don't know what he talked about, but it sure was good. You know what I mean? Those presentations that don't have clear outcomes, clear takeaway, clear objectives. You have any thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah. That just comes with, I guess, not valuing the idea of practicing your presentations beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely something that I do, especially because I'm very interested in people getting something out of whatever I'm talking about. I don't want to waste my time or their time. And I have a friend who actually he sometimes gives me a hard time about that. The fact that I like to practice my present beforehand.
Yeah.
It's more of the kind of just go with the flow kind of thing and stuff. And I definitely noticed the difference.
Yeah.
I like my way better.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I was telling my wife the other day, not that long ago, I was like, I speak quite often. She told me some of the ones that she thought was my best ones. And I said, those just happen to be the ones that I practiced my entire speech ahead of time. I was able to sometimes even, like when I did my dissertation defense, I literally went into the room that I had to do my dissertation defense, used a projector. Nobody was in there the night before. And I literally went through my entire presentation in front of an empty auditorium. And as a result, when I got to the point of having to do it before my committee and the people that were there, it just went nice and smooth. There were no gaps, everything. It was just kind of like muscle memory at that point. So I agree with you totally. Valuing that time of putting in practice ahead of time. What?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and not only that, but the good part about it is when you do that, you're able to kind of figure out what makes sense to go first, second, and third. Yeah, and when you're going off the top, you're just it's kind of a stream of consciousness kind of thing where one thing you talk about, then you talk about something else that kind of doesn't really relate to what you already spoke about, and things can get jumbled, and the people can end up just like you said. At the end of the presentation, thinking, what did you guys talk about?
Yeah, totally. So let's see if we can give some people some actually concrete value. And I saw, again, people earlier. Shout out everybody who's joining us. We're talking with Neil Thompson. He is the creator of Teach the Geek to Speak. He's also an engineer, and he also teaches technical people how to speak and improve their non-technical skills. But let's give people, Neil, you can go, and I'll go as well, some concrete tips on when it comes to preparing, right? Not just the practicing, but like when you are organizing your content and you have to get that presentation, what are some things that we can keep in mind? Maybe you can give a tip, I'll give a tip, and we'll go from there.
Okay, sure. So when it comes to presentations, you really want to start off with the end in mind. So what do you want people to get out of your presentation?
Yeah.
And if you're able to summarize that sentence or two, you can build off of that to what the presentation has to contain.
Mm-hmm.
So you're able to then give the people what they need, by the end of the presentation.
Yeah.
So that's the first tip that I'd have.
Right. Begin with
the end in mind.
Begin with the end in mind, for sure. I just want to acknowledge the Black Math Academy. Thanks for coming through. He brought out a good point, and we didn't talk about this, but one of the biggest fears isn't dying. It's public speaking. So when you look at surveys that were taken, this is just another way to iterate the issue of all the things that people are afraid of. Public speaking rates higher on the list than dying. Like literally, people would rather die than give a public presentation. And so that's glad you pointed it out, Matt. Black Math Academy. He also says knowing the subject matter helps with the confidence to deliver your idea. So look, this is what I'll say, and I saw It Be Okay said the same thing earlier, knowing the subject matter. Here's a tip I would give, the follow-up yours, Neil. Once you know what you want them to leave with, I usually try to distill it down to about three main points, because I realize, like, I've heard someone say, like, between 3 to 5 is really good, depending on your time. Sometimes if you have a short presentation, one main point is really good. But if let's say I'm giving a keynote, if I'm giving a full keynote or full presentation for about an hour, I try to distill what I want people to leave with three main things. And so I can put it under those three categories. And I just always felt like that was like a good number. Like that was the magic number when it comes to the number of points that people are able to take, where it's not too many, but it's also not just one where it just feels like for the whole hour I'm being redundant, right? So those are some of the things that I've done when it comes to my speaking. What up, Teresa? Teresa says, yes, serious anxiety for me in public speaking. She can attest to the fear of public speaking. Y'all, this is Neil Thompson. We're going to get another tip from him. Neil, this is what I want to know from you. Preparation is what we just talked about. But let's talk about what I think Jen even said earlier, Jennifer said earlier, and some people even like Teresa said, just that feeling of nervousness, right? Let's say you know your subject matter. In fact, you studied it, you practice it, but boom, when those lights come on, you're in front of people. Like, what are some tips you would say a person can keep in mind when they are in the middle of the presentation or when it's game time, just to make sure that their nerves don't go too awry?
Well, breathing's really important. So you definitely don't want to be when you're doing your presentation, doing shallow breathing. You want deep breathing when you're presenting. Something that I actually do before I get on stage and to speak in front of people. You have a whole lot of this nervous energy that you kind of want to get rid of. So what I do is I'll walk around for the presentation, maybe do some knee bends, something physical, so that you're dissipating some of that nervous. So when you get up there, you're more relaxed.
Yeah. So you that's good, man. You know what? That's funny you said that, because I actually did stuff like that, but I never really realized what I was doing. Right? Every time I go in the bathroom and I know I'm about to go, I'm like, oh, let's do this, right? Like, I'm just like getting all crunk. I'll do push-ups sometimes. But that's true, though. Like, you're actually dissipating some of that nervous energy when you're doing all that. I never even thought about that, man.
Yeah. That's definitely something that I do. And it's definitely helped. Just being able to get up there and seeming more calm and relaxed when to actually give the presentation.
Yeah. Couture Adams says a power pose is really good. I love it. Have you heard of power pose? You know power pose is, right, Neil?
Thanks for sharing that, Couture.
Yeah, when you put your hands on your hips.
Black Math Academy.
Yeah. Basically, yeah. And I know people have variations to it. Couture, I know you have one. Shout out to you. But that power pose is just kind of like push your body, put your mind into this state of just like, we're about to do this, man. We're about to do an amazing job and not being afraid of it. I think that's pretty dope. Thanks for sharing that, Couture. It's getting something state. Let me see what the Black Math Academy chimed in also and said that I took a speech class and it is a wonderful skill. It has served me well. You never know when something that seems mundane becomes valuable. Yes. So this is what I did, right? And back to the nervous energy, back to how you can stay comfortable for everybody watching. When I was in undergrad, Neil, and I think I shared this with you, I was a part of an improv drama group.
To the point that
so I did a lot of acting. So we did things like the stuff you see on Whose Line Is It Anyway, stuff you see on like Wildin' Out. I did a lot of improv when I was in college, and I can tell you honestly, of all my extracurricular activities outside of public speaking, that was part of the most valuable one, because it taught me one thing. First of all, it taught me how to like almost like be in character, to the point that I'm not really even thinking that they're looking at me. They're looking at whatever character I'm playing right now. So whenever it comes to me being nervous, I'm about to do a really big presentation, whatever it is, I sort of like go into character. And the character that I am, now I don't have a name for this character. This is an alter ego, but I'm saying like I go into this mindset of acting like I'm a person who's excited. And so I begin to like look at everybody else with the excitement as the character, really more so than me even thinking about myself. So shout out to Shireen. Shireen went to undergrad with me, so she knows. She knows back when I was doing the improv stuff. So that really gave me a lot of confidence to where now I literally just like flip a switch where I'm no longer thinking about, oh man, are people going to like me, Nehemiah? Are they going to think Nehemiah's whack? But I go into this character of, this character is just out here having fun. This character is about to enjoy. This character isn't just, doesn't just have an audience. This character is an audience to the people in the audience. And so it's really, really cool that has served me very well.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny you mentioned improv because I took an improv class a few years ago. And that was helpful too. And just like you said, kind of outside yourself and, you know, being more comfortable in speaking in front of people, especially with improv, because you don't know what's coming before it actually happens.
Exactly.
So having to react in the moment.
Yeah.
I talk about the importance of practice before you give presentations, but there are going to be times we'll have to respond on the cuff.
Yeah.
That's when really knowing your subject, well, that's important. But something also I did a few years ago was I took a stand-up comedy course too.
There we go.
As I said, I live in the Yeah, so I live in the San Diego area, and there is the Comedy Store. They have a location here in San Diego, and the owner of the store, her name is Sandy Shore. He offers then a comedy course, so I guess like stand-up comedy course. So I think for about 6 Saturdays, people and trying to be funny.
Trying to be funny.
I mean, you're able to get up in front of people and make them laugh.
Yeah.
And any other you have to do is nothing compared to that.
Yeah, totally, man. You know, comedians are like the pinnacle public speakers. Like they're the quintessential public speakers, because here they are, like they don't have any other crutch. They literally just go on stage with a microphone. Some of them may have all the props and stuff, but their goal is to really keep your attention in a very, very engaging way for that entire time. So I've never even thought about that either. Like if you went to a stand-up comedy class, you're essentially giving yourself more public speaking skills. So that's pretty dope if you did that, man. Let me see. Kavan said, AKA Punchline. What did it say? It helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. It's funny. I was just gonna say Kavan. I don't know if Kavan was ahead of us.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Actually, my favorite.
we get a little a wires cross here. Can you hear me? Are we real time? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I was gonna point out Kavan's comment. He said it helps. He or she. I'm sorry, I can't see. Yeah, he said. Yeah, he said it helps put moments in the speech that will automatically get the audience to react, aka punchlines. And boom, you said that right as we were leading into comedy. So that's pretty cool. Yes, things that you know people are going to laugh, things you know people are going to cheer, things you know people are going to be shocked with. Another tip a guy told me was, in addition to the jokes, you know, in addition to, you know, some of the other things, was that put in a shocking statistic, right? Like sometimes put statistics in there that can grab a person's attention, whether you start off with it or not, right? That statistic that will get people to be like, what in the world? You mean to tell me that, you know what I'm saying, this percentage of whatever is this, you know, those shocking statistics, I think, one, appeal to people. They have a weird way, I think, of crossing over. There's some people who respond emotionally to it, but there are also people who respond intellectually to it as well. So when you hear those things, when you put those things in your presentation, I think that helps bring out a certain reaction. Also, any things you would suggest that you could add into a presentation? Maybe it's not like the whole thing, but like, you know, in addition to a joke or a stat, what are some things people can put in to spice it up? You catch that, Neil? Yeah.
One thing that actually I learned in the stand-up comedy course. Yeah. So one thing I learned in the stand-up comedy course was the idea of callback. And so what a callback is, at least is you refer something, and then near the, I guess, of your, present, not the, of the routine, I guess, of, the stand-up, you refer back to something that you said earlier. So I'm a big fan of doing that in my presentations too. I refer back to something that I said earlier, and it's nice in being able to toe on the entire presentation and bring it to I guess, interesting end.
Yeah, I love that. Like, I never really knew what it was called, but I always loved when like comedians or presenters would basically like refer to something earlier. And it's great when it, like you said, puts a bow on it, and it also brings it home. And I was able to incorporate that in some of my speeches as well. Also, all right, we're gonna take a few questions on the way out here. We are definitely getting. Sorry to cut you off. We're getting closer to the end. It'd Be Okay says, what about dialogue from your audience? Do you recommend this as a spice? Call and response. What do you think about that?
I mean, I think it could be all depending. It kind of has to the context.
Right.
I mean, when I was giving presentations in front of managers, I wasn't doing a whole lot of call and response with the CEO. But depending on the.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely think in the context of like church, especially people who grew up in the black church, you're gonna get a lot of call and response. Can I get an amen? Amen. You know what I mean? All that. God is good all the time. That's that church stuff right there for sure. Yeah, man.
Yeah, I wasn't getting from the CEO and the VP of R&D. That's for sure.
I know, a whole lot of amens in that scenario. That's a good question. We'll see if we can take at least one more question. Teresa says, her comment says, she always admired folks that can give a full speech without referring to a document. Any pointers on that? Neil, what do you think? Being able to go up there without a document or notes. Any pointers on that? Oh man, we losing a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes, that has to do with proper preparation.
Yep.
Knowing your. So it has to do with proper preparing your subject matter well, and having an outline when you're preparing your presentations. So you mentioned that you should have typically 3 to 5 bullets to remember, and I'm a big fan. So essentially, you'll have your bullets of what you want to address. The main topics, and then you'll have some subtopics under those bullets that you want to hit on. And practice, you just want to make sure that every time you practice, you hit the main points and you hit those sub points as well. And you want to continue to practice until you can seamlessly hold the bullet points and the sub bullet points as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. That's a good question, Teresa. Katura says, can we comment on eye contact, right? Should you look over their heads? What do you do typically without staring at one side of the room or one person? Like, what are your tips on eye contact when you're up there?
I am a big fan of not looking into people's eyes because, at least for me, it's distracting. And so I do is I look at their eyebrows. They can't.
Okay. Yeah. Eyebrows. That's really good.
Yeah, so that's helpful to me.
Yeah. Man, I never thought about that one. Yeah.
It looks like you're looking at your. Yeah. I got a lot of eyebrows for people to look at if I'm in the audience, man. I tell you that. You know what I mean? So that's gonna be hard if they talking to me. Yeah, I love it. Let's see. A few more here. Kavasa had to give a talk. It's on the same point. Had to give a talk on the red dot. Okay, TEDx. We weren't allowed to have notes, but we prepared for months. Yes, that's right. TEDx talks. They give a lot of practice. I think they even give you a coach for some of them to really make sure you hone in on your presentation. And then the ones that I've learned more about, they don't even give you a whole lot of slides too. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. Preparation is key. Look, I'm just going to say this real quick, man. When it comes to eye contact, I actually kind of like it. Like me, I actually kind of like it, making eye contact with people. And the reason why, again, that goes back to, I guess, my comfort that I got from improving and being in character. But when I'm able to make eye contact with people, sometimes
that allows me to take the power back, because sometimes people worry like, oh, what are they gonna think about me? I see on the front row, it kind of it kind of puts them in a situation of not really uncomfortable. Hopefully, I try not to make them uncomfortable, but like, oh, this guy is also fully here. He's just not going through things. So I definitely think your suggestion was good. I just happen to be one of those people that's like, oh, I'm gonna make eye contact. You know what I mean? Just because I don't know, it's part of my character when I'm on stage. All right, Neil, real quick, we getting out really quick.
Yeah, for me, when it comes to eye contact,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, the reason I struggle with so I was going to say like myself who struggle with the eye contact. I mean, the main reason I struggle with it is because when I look into someone's eyes, sometimes I forget what I'm about to say next.
Yeah.
So I figure it's more important that I remember what my message is, because that's essentially what people are there for, as opposed to maintaining that eye contact. I figure that's what we would prefer.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. Last thing we're gonna touch on, and then we only got like a few more minutes. But I think Shireen said when it comes to silence, right? When it comes to dead silence, those times when it's just like it feels like eternity in between pauses or in a pause. Any type of comments on the pregnant pauses? And I see, speaking of pregnant pauses, you're freezing up right now. So I'm going to try to fill this pause real quick and say on that, Shireen, I think sometimes it's really good for effect. Like if you say something that's powerful and it's almost like a bar that people need to think on, sometimes you got to sit in that pause just a little bit and let people receive it. But other times it can seem very awkward. What do you think about that, Neil? Pauses on stage, the silence sometimes. Like that right there. I don't know if you hear me, but we're going to talk about that a little bit more. I'll say that the silence sometimes seems longer to you than it is to the audience. For instance, if you're having technical difficulties, again, that's kind of meta what's going on right now. It can feel like this thing is taking forever, man. Oh, man, won't this thing work? And everything is completely silent for a long time. But sometimes you don't have to worry about it as much as we do. Now, if it ever gets really, really long, of course, you want to make sure your timing is good. And that just goes back to preparation. It goes back to preparation. Shireen, you feel me? Neil, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Neil? Neil, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, man. All right, this is what we're going to do, Neil. Since I don't know if you can hear me, your face looks the same, whether you hear me or not. I'm going to X you out. I'm going to bring you back on, and then we're going to close this thing. Let's bring Neil back on. I hope you all enjoying this. I hope through all of the stop and start, you all got some value from this. And in case you're wondering, yes, STEM media, we are aware that this is an issue. This is a topic for people. And so we will be looking at ways to provide more value on the topic of communication, on the topic of public speaking. But let's get Neil in here to give us some parting words of wisdom. All right? Neil, welcome back. Welcome back, y'all. Give him some hearts as he comes back through. Give him some hearts as he comes back through. Neil, are you there? All right, man. I hear the I hear the sound in the background. There you go. So, Neil, before we lose you again, for the remainder of this, please give us how we can stay in touch with you, how we can find out more.
I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know.
Yeah, how we can find out more about your course. Give us all the information, Neil, and then leave us with some parting words of wisdom before Instagram kicks us off in the next minute or so. Plug everything. Give us some parting words of wisdom before we say goodbye. That's another.
You can learn more about the course at teachthegeek.com, and you can reach me also if you want to teachthegeek.com. And just like you mentioned earlier, you were a YouTube channel where I talk to engineers and scientists about public speaking, and you can check that out at YouTube'sthegeek.com. And in terms of any parting knowledge, at least when it comes to public speaking or just anything really, you're gonna have to. It's gonna take practice to get better at it. You can listen to all you listen to all the podcasts you want, read all the books you want, but you don't get to actually doing it. So that would be my part.
You don't get better at it unless you do it. I love it. I love it. Thank you. Keep practicing. Neil, you've been a great guest. Despite the technical difficulties, you still hung out with us. I hope people are able to follow up and take you up on what you have to offer. And again, if you're watching this STEM media, we're going to look for more ways, maybe even partnering with Neil to bring this value to you again, because we know that this is an important topic. This is an area that a lot of people struggle with, as was pointed out before, is one of the top fears. And Neil, man, I just affirm what you're doing. Thank you so much for joining us on STEM Media Live. I hope you have a great week, bro.
Yep, same to you. Thanks again for the invitation.
All right, man. Peace. Again, shout out to everybody for coming through STEM Media Live. We do this every single Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Thank you for hanging out with us. I hope you got some value. If you're late, you can just watch the replay, get some of the nuggets. We talked about a lot of different tips and tools as related to public speaking. If you are on YouTube, so hit subscribe, like this, and comment to help us out. And if you're not on